Well, welcome back to the S.H.O.P. Social Hub of Positivity, everybody. In the bowels of the beast today with a very wonderful Tom and Guy, better known as Riverbank Studios. Well, obviously to your parents, you probably know by your names, but Riverbank Studios. For all the countless young people that have worked with these people over the years, you'll know them very well. For people that don't, they're going to tell you lots more about it. So how are you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, good.
Yeah?
Good.
How is the
Besides
lockdown treating you?
Well, I was going to say, besides the lack of live music and the usual stuff, you know, apart from that, all good.
So how have you been keeping yourself occupied then?
Working from home and I guess doing what everybody else is doing, really. And we, you know, back in the summer when there were the opportunities to sort of get together and rehearse and so on and do other things like that, make the most of it.
Yeah.
Because now we're not able to do that.
No. But Tom, how about yourself? How have you been getting through lockdown?
Working more, I guess, but less music related. Well, still music related in some ways.
Yeah.
So working with Can Do as well now.
Well, I'm very grateful for that, let's face it.
Yeah. Yeah, Riverbank's gone very quiet. It's very difficult to do stuff with all the things in place for lockdown. I don't know, keeping busy. I had my allotment over the summer. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Don't know, spend more time with my dog.
Perfect.
He's happy to have me at home.
Absolutely. No, you won't be the first person to make use of a dog over the lockdown. I think a lot of people have bought them and then got rid of them, didn't they, after the first lockdown, and then probably regretted it during the second, the third. By the 54th lockdown, A, there's going to be lots more bigger dogs, and B, there's going to be really fit people. Mentally, possibly not. So, just as a quick history, how did you guys come together? What was your story, your backstory, guys?
Well, we've known each other since 2008.
Yeah, we were in a band when we were teenagers.
Yeah, so we met through the Bridge Centre actually, because Tom was in a band down there, and I think I'd gone down. A friend of mine was like taking photos of one of the bands that was rehearsing down there, and this was way before the days of Riverbank. This was, you know, when the Bridge Centre wasn't a car park.
Oh yeah, well, not even a good car park. As someone said to me.
And so I'd gone down there and I was just hanging out. Like I wasn't even playing any music, and somebody, like a mutual friend who was in a band with Tom at the time, spotted me, and we got chatting, and then we kind of played in several bands, and then I started working. I was in the right place at the right time, rehearsing down there at the Bridge Centre, because they were talking about we wanted to start up a new recording and rehearsal space at the Olympiad, and so Alan, who was kind of the project leader at the time, said, "Do you know anybody?" And I was like, "Yeah, me." And so he was like, "Well, if you want it, you can do the job." So I think it came to 2011, and I just went for an interview, and I was the only person being interviewed, and got the job as the studio engineer and basically managing the studio, because obviously it was mostly youth workers and Welsh Council staff who didn't know anything about recording studio. So I did that, and Tom was at uni, and then Tom came back from uni, and I think I said to him, "Why don't you just come down to the studio and check it out?" And then next thing, we ended up, when the council cut the studio, we said, well, let's take it over and make a business out of it.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like a community.
A
community business. And then since 2014, we've been running it ourselves, and here we are.
Here we are, not in the Olympiad, ladies and
Just
gentlemen.
like 10 years of my life.
It's fantastic.
A minute. But,
No, absolutely. But, you know, because you've been doing all sorts of gigs as well. What's the Storm the Stage, is it?
Take the Stage.
Take the Stage. No, I want to storm it. I want to come on and storm the stage. Take the Stage, which obviously Brian Reed helps out with, isn't he? Isn't he the MC for it? He's always raving about that.
Yeah.
That's a really well supported thing. Tell us a bit about that, Tom.
Yeah, Brian hosts that for us. So and we've always since I started at Riverbank, we should do live music. We should put gigs on. So we've been doing that anyway since 2014. So when was our first Take the Stage?
I think it was
16?
Yeah, I think it was end of 2015, beginning of 2016.
Yeah, so
kind of ran over that time period.
Yeah.
I think. Right?
Yeah.
It went over because we did it over like a year that time, or was it over like 6 months or something?
Yeah, so that was just good timing as well, actually, and making
Yeah.
good connections with local people, and things come to you when you do that. So the Neil had just gone under this big investment. They put in loads of new things there.
Mm.
And they said, we need to do more community projects, and they came to us, and we said, well, we could do some gigs, absolutely. So we devised this, Battle of the Bands kind of style thing for under 21s. We agreed at the time, didn't it? Yeah. We rarely get 21-year-olds. It's mostly sort of 15 through to 18, I think, kind of college age. Every year except this one because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, we nearly finished it. We got to the final and then couldn't do the final.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's right, yeah.
For us, that's just like a part of what we do at Riverbank. So we got everything from the ground up. If you're starting playing, if you're looking to get into bands, if you need one-to-one tuition, that kind of thing. And this is just the next step. It was logical for us. Like, okay, we need somewhere for these young bands to go from here into the real world of the music industry. Yeah. So we got our prizes for the first 3 years. We had a slot at Fieldview Festival as the main prize.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
As well as some recording time. We offered recording time, and Chipfest offered slots, and loads of little things like that.
Perfect. You did remember Harmony when your busking thing was that year, or was it year before last? Wasn't it? Was it
probably
part of the
2019?
I think it was, but it was right because last year's obviously one of them years in history. We'll go, oh, what were you doing during 2020? Not a lot, although we were because we were some key workers and we're doing nigh on the same thing, bar the live gigs, because with our open mic, again, Brian Reed, there's a big connection with Brian Reed, and he's big enough to have a connection with most people in Chippenham. The fact he knows most people in Chippenham is also probably a good thing. But we started doing the live one at Revo Lounge, the live open mic, fantastically supported, and then it was once a month, so we did 2 months of them, fantastic, and then boom. So we said, okay, we have the facility, so we do it online. It's a different thing, but it's on tonight, just in case this isn't going out tonight, but we go on Friday. But on Wednesdays, Tom knows because he's been in lots of the with young people. But to have an outlet, particularly almost in times of the pandemic, I know it sounds crazy, that to have any type of outlet, whether it's digital, is really important. But there's nothing like live concerts for all sorts of levels, is there? I mean, for the participants who are playing, but also for the audience, the atmosphere. It's like watching a game of football or not, in your case, or whatever. Playing, actually, Tom, you played very well. What were your plans? What were your plans pre the Olympiad going, wherever it went? I mean, I presume it's still there, but I mean, are you going to be there after lockdown, or are you going to relocate?
I think we don't quite know the answer to that question at the moment.
Yeah, we're a little unsure.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, the lockdown has been good in preparing us for whatever it looks like after, because we've had to take a lot of our stuff out of there and be able to do what we do in like a mobile capacity. Yeah. So obviously, setting up here has been a big help for that. It's like a semi-permanent home. Well,
yeah. I mean, the lease on this place is literally just I don't know, 6 months. If we're lucky to have 6 months, we'll probably have 6 months of lockdown. It would be the most interesting shop we've ever been to. But the idea of shared space, the community coming together, I want to keep going on about the Bridge Centre, but I will keep going on at the Bridge Centre. It was an absolute disgrace that we lost the youth service across the county, let alone in Chippenham. But anyway, and then come up with car parks. Disgrace. However, between us, surely we've got to find a way, because what you guys were doing for young people, building their confidence, allowing them to have outlets, allowing them to have really high quality, non-patronising, which I loved. When you hear people talk about how you guys work, a lot of people do work within the community because they can't get work in the big grown-up world of industry, of film, of music. You guys have got the sensibilities and really encourage people. I know Harmony particularly well, so she was delighted with the interactions. I know other people that have worked with you. Obviously, you can do at the moment, and you're more than welcome. And as I said, if there's nowhere else, you can set up there to do evenings and weekends, because we do use it evening and weekends, but you're there most of the time anyway, so if we are, it'll be you there. So I see that guy, he's the same guy at Riverbank. He looks exactly the same, I tell you. But to provide facilities amongst the community, part of this shop idea, this social hub of positivity, wherever it's physically put, it will be there to link people. So is there any way that people can link to you guys now, young people that might be watching this, online, or if you've got any, we can put addresses up, we can put, if you've got YouTube, you've got anything that you want to put up, tell us, and we'll put up the contacts when this is being edited, obviously. We put it up now. Quickly write them out, guys.
I mean, well, obviously we're on all social media platforms. We have been a little bit inactive for the last 9 months while we've been figuring out what it is that we're doing. But in the normal world, we were, especially when Take the Stage is on, there's loads of content, video stuff going up all the time, and we were sort of at the point of just kind of planning what we were going to do before obviously everything logged down. And then since then it was like Tom said, a case to sort of sit back and maybe consider what we're going to do next. But yeah, to answer the question, I would say follow us on social media, Riverbank Chippenham, Riverbank Studios Chippenham, search it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
And just kind of keep an ear to the ground of what we're doing, because we will figure something out.
Yeah.
As much as we can't be completely certain at the minute what it might be in 6 months or 12 months. That's been the case ever since we opened up anyway. So, we'll make sure that we provide something, but we don't know what that is just yet.
Me and Tom have talked about, because naturally at Candy we make music videos with young people or the community, we make recordings, and the next part of what we want to do is the greatest hits, for want of a better word, for the open mics. So we talked to a few of the contributors, so it would seem a natural progression to, if we can, I'm talking about vinyl as well, by the way, see, physically having stuff on vinyl as well as MP3s and or whatever the other. I said MP3s there with no certainty anyway. So that's how bad I am. MP3, is that a thing? I mean, it could be anything. I could have just sort of said CI5 and ZN2. You guys are ZN2, and you'd have been going, he's an idiot, and you'd be right. Let me just say, you'd be right, guys. So physically doing music videos, love to work in collaboration with you. Is there stuff already that you filmed that we can use as a clip or segments of music that you've done, just to give people, because it's great, we'll have cutaways of this place and say, who knows if anyone's ever going to get to use this place. Doesn't matter. The actual principle is making links with you guys, because you're very, I was going to say unorthodox, but what I meant to say is versatile. Maybe I meant both. You're very unorthodox, versatile, very versatile, unorthodox. However, being able to get in contact with you now, either to do digital interactions, so you're doing drum lessons, are you doing any drum stuff on Zoom or? Right. Yeah. So there's the way. If someone's sitting at home now thinking, I can't go out the house, you can access Riverbank possibly through that. What other life tips would you give to people now, young people particularly that might be listening to this, technically or creatively? What would be a way for you to sort of pass on some good information? If you broke out in song now, of course. Well, we would dum suggest you dum.
I think my thing would be just be prepared at the minute. For things will come back.
The Scouts have got that one. You can't have that.
It's versatile.
It's good. It's very good. Good.
But yeah, I think don't stop practicing. Don't stop making music. It's more possible now than ever to make music at home, online, like you're saying. It's not the same, and we all know the limitations of it, but you can still do it. And I think good content and good songs and stuff like that will always win. So it doesn't matter whether you filmed it on your phone at home or you went to Abbey Road and made it. The good music can still exist in this time. So I would say don't stop believing.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Go on, and if you can do 25, if it's if you need help, let it be, guy, let it be. Relax.
Things can only get better.
Hey, come on, everyone! All right. So, although I think we should take a day trip to Abbey Road and just film stuff on our phones to say we made it, man. Drumming. Now, I agree with you. You know, people who use keyboards and you do and electro stuff, fantastic. Drumming can obviously be something that divides a family, but there are ways to drum. We've started giving out those drum pads, practice pads. Would you recommend anything you can recommend, or should we put something on this thing and go, look, if you're a frustrated drummer or you want to start maybe connecting with you, drumsticks and drum pads or whatever. Any good?
Yeah, absolutely. I like a drum pad. You don't necessarily need anything to be drumming at home though. Got hands on your laps, you can be thinking of patterns, or even like melodies to songs you like. If you can think of a melody and just tap along to whatever melody is in the song, you're creating rhythms.
Yeah.
And that's be part of it,
Yeah. Okay, so off of the music, not technically, this could come back to it. When the pandemic, if the pandemic is ever finished, what would be the first thing that you'd want to do? What would be the big wish?
I think either go to a gig or play a gig again. I think that's the thing that I miss the most. Like I'm involved in quite a lot of live music, different things, and that's the thing that I miss the most. I think just collaboration with other people. You know, that's the hardest thing. Like I work as a producer and stuff like that outside of Riverbank, and I've done quite a lot of stuff online throughout the pandemic. But I've realised in perhaps the last 6 months or so that as much as that's still possible, it's not the same as being in the room with somebody. Even if you're bouncing ideas back and forth to somebody, send them a message and say, what do you think of this? And then they come back an hour later and go, can you change this? You come back an hour later and go, I've changed this, what do you think? If we were in the room together, that would happen in about 6 seconds. So I think that's the thing that I miss the most, as much as it still is possible. For me, I think, live music and just generally being in a room, collaborating with other people is the thing that I miss the most. So that's the first thing I do.
Cool. Tom?
Yeah, find the biggest, sweatiest gig I can and just get in the crowd. I think I got some germ phobia I probably need to get over. Expose myself to it all in one go.
Goodness. So basically the first thing you want to do is crowd surf, right? Is it? Well, that's, your next big gig at the Meals Hall, we'll film that. And here is Tom in his natural habitat, surfing across the crowd.
I spent a year just avoiding people, whoa, don't get close. And that's like the opposite of a gig environment,
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to feel weird, isn't it? Like when you go back to a gig for the first time, even just being in a building that close to other people, I think is going to be a weird.
That's what I mean.
A weird thing, but
get in a crowd, rub up to someone sweaty, just get it over with, get it okay, done now.
Not in public or the shopping centre potentially, but a gig would be permissible. Any music-related videos, films, or books that you could recommend whilst people are still in this sort of that would be have inspired you, or that you think, that's a.
No, my tastes have gone right back to when I was a teenager. I've been watching old Led Zeppelin footage, 1973, 75, just loads of old stuff. Revisiting old things has been re-inspiring me.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think one of the things, especially now, is there's so much online for anybody that it's sometimes difficult to know where to start. One of the things I really enjoy is a podcast called Song Exploder, and they've just put the Netflix series up now. So it's the first time they've done video content with it. I've only watched a couple of episodes, I think, but it looks really good. So anybody who's interested in music, I'd recommend checking that out, because they go behind the songs and how they made the songs, and I've got a whistle going on.
I was wondering what that was. Time's up. Come on now, God, get out of here.
Everyone has a fear of coughing.
Good Lord.
But I'd say I'd recommend checking that out. Just it's quite interesting to see what other people are doing. Song Exploder on Netflix.
Excellent.
I'm not paid.
Quick one then. Favourite bands, either of you, just because people are going to, I've never heard of them, and maybe they're going, who's your favourite band? I know it's a hard question, particularly musicians, but biggest influence on your musical careers, shall we say?
Well, one of the bands I've seen the most is Queens of the Stone Age. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Oh yeah.
Iggy Pop.
Wow.
but I have a huge.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard, wasn't it?
But
I got a
bands
few.
that
I've
we
put
see
a
the
list
most,
of few as a drummer. Led Zeppelin, I've said already.
Yeah.
Biffy Clyro.
Yeah.
Their first
Yeah.
4 or 5 albums.
Yeah.
Really interesting drumming. Mogwai. Scottish band. It's silence.
No, I've heard everyone else. I thought he was threatening me. Well, your son, come over here, I better bite your head. I don't know if that was Scottish or actually just a very bad impersonation of myself. Mogwai, yes.
Yeah, I had tickets to see them a couple of years ago and couldn't go. I don't know when they'll be back in Bristol.
Yeah.
But as soon as they are.
I accidentally saw Biffy Clyro at Reading once. When I say accidentally, someone else said, "Oh, we've got to go and see this band, never heard of them." Very impressed. Then they became mildly popular, didn't they? Because they used that song "Come Together," isn't it? On what's that
called?
karaoke program called?
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
One of them, X Factor.
What's the song called?
We come together.
Yeah.
Come on, we'll do a version here, lads. I'll do the Mogwai version. Yeah, are they Scottish as well?
Yeah.
No Mogwai. What about Biffy Clyro? Interesting.
Shall I list only Scottish bands?
Yeah, only Scottish bands. And then, of course, the Proclaimers. Actually, there's a lot of good Scottish bands, to be fair. Right, okay. Any last words before we end this, before we all freeze to death? What's the... Come on, anything?
Probably the main thing to say is keep an eye out on what we're doing down here, because we hope to have this place, open to the public as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So that would be my main thing, is, stay safe and keep a look out on what we're
Don't
doing.
stop believing.
Don't stop believing.
Thank you, gentlemen. Right, that's the cut.